Well, joining us to discuss these modalities and ways of finding a lasting solution, Annkio Briggs joins us from Abuja. She's a Niger Delta activist. Good morning and thank you for joining us today. Well, yet again, the country concerned with activities from the Avengers and several other groups. Well, about how this again began, were you surprised that we're back at this stage, first and foremost?
Absolutely not. While I remain a non-violent agitator, an advocate for non-violence, agitation for justice and equity in the Niger Delta, I really must stress that we keep going round in circle, but we go backwards, and which is a really terrible place to be, because both the federal government and the state governments have failed to address the issues before we talk about the effects of the issues, that is the negative effects of the issues. Now, what I mean by that is we constantly condemn and talk about blowing up of pipelines, which we must continue to do. But in one way or the other, we have yet to succeed in finding solution to the reasons why these things occur. Now, we have had Adaka Boro, who was violent. We have had Ken Serawiwa, who was non-violent. We have had Joy Youth Council, who was non-violent, and so many other groups that has come up, not just Ijos. But when we look back immediately, I keep hearing people talk about amnesty. Amnesty is not, was not, and can never be the solution to the agitation for justice and equity. Amnesty is for a group of people, not the whole youths of the Niger Delta, and it will remain so. We need to face the problem and solve the problem. People are talking about physical federalism. People are talking about the present sharing formula as it stands in the Niger Delta and in Nigeria. We're talking about oil well licenses. We're talking about lack of development. I know people will say, what has Niger Delta governors or NDDC done with 13%? Now, we don't even want 13%. What we're talking about is owning the resources, paying tax to federal government, which is fiscal federalism, so that the rest of Nigeria will also have the opportunity to develop and explore what is in their region, what is in their state, and what they have capacity to do. Now, when you're talking about Niger Delta issues, and you're talking about criminality as it has been identified, and you now go after so-called criminals, and then you target the communities, you're not making the situation better, you're making the situation worse. And that is why it does not come as a surprise to most of us in the Niger Delta, while we continue to appeal to people who are blowing up the pipeline to explore the avenue of dialogue. We also must appeal to our state governors and the federal government to seriously concentrate on finding a lasting and permanent solution and really listen to what we are saying, which is that we must sit down and find a way around how Niger Delta people will have the opportunity to utilize what is in their region to develop themselves and secure their future.
What would you say to those who thought that, well, but before now, the reason why they thought it was a bit odd, they thought, look, when they introduced the amnesty, they laid down the arms, then the program came for them to be rehabilitated. That provided the avenue for peace to reign, such that development, and then they could address several other issues, but no warning, no prior warning, and then these attacks started. So that's why people just thought, something seems to be a bit odd here. They also suggested, shouldn't there have been some way wherein there would have been maybe a team to the government to say, look, these are the demands, this is what we think is going to happen if these demands are not met before the attacks even begin, if at all they should be?
There is a lot of combination, and there are many factors that has existed from when the amnesty program was offered to when Goodluck Jonathan became the president, to when the election took place, and the scenarios that played out before the 2015 election, and the fact that Jonathan lost the election and went on his merry way. Now, we must remind ourselves in Nigeria that politics is not a war, that politics is a group of people offering themselves up to serve us, and whoever emerges as a winner when it is done properly and justly, that governance goes on. It is not a situation where a winner takes all. It is not a situation where a group of people determine that they have conquered a certain group of people in Nigeria. We're equal partners in the Nigerian project for whatever it is and for how far we have come. But there is a lot of injustice in Nigeria. We have Boko Haram. There are reasons why Boko Haram came upon. I think I remember very well in your Lagos studio when the first leader of Boko Haram was murdered. I was in your studio and I really, really said that Nigeria must find out how this man come to be killed in the hands of the police at that particular time. I knew that something would emerge from that because it has to do with people's rights and people feeling aggrieved. Now, we're left with Boko Haram. We're left with issues of herdsmen. We're left with people complaining that all the oil wells in the Niger Delta, apart from the ones that the federal government is sharing with the oil companies, that about 90 or more % of those oil wells for the past 20, 30 years has been in the custody of Nigerians that are not from the Niger Delta region, have not been there, and is not contributing to the communities where they are making these billions and billions of dollars. Now, if anybody says that we are not being reasonable by feeling offended by such calculations, then we're going round in circle and we're doing it backwards, because people will continue to feel aggrieved. It doesn't matter where the oil or any resource is. If it is handled and shared and denied the people the way it is denied the Niger Delta people, it doesn't matter where in Nigeria, those people will actually agitate. And these are the core reasons, and we must address the core reasons, and we must use whatever means is available to achieve this justice in the Niger Delta and any other part of Nigeria for that matter, if truly we're going to see Nigeria move forward, move into the 21st century, and actually emerge as a black nation that has the capacity to be Nigeria. But if we don't succeed in that, then what is happening today is what will happen. You have Biafra in one corner, you have the Middle Belt in another corner, you have the Niger Delta people that will not go away. The Niger Delta issue will not go away. And attacking communities when oil pipelines are blown up, or when you feel a group of people from a particular area are responsible and you've not even been able to prove that, it constantly makes the people to feel that you are victimizing them. And the federal government and the state government, I keep referring to the state government, the federal government and the state government owes the Niger Delta people this responsibility to sit down with the Niger Delta people and get a solution to the Niger Delta issues, because we're tired of people telling us that development will not come if we don't have peace. Well, there was no development, there is no development, and that is why we have this agitation that is seen that as if there is no peace.